All right, so it looks like we have some more information on The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom when it comes to actual news and also rumors as well. The rumors come from Mike Odyssey and Nintendo Prime. They recently released videos on this, and they talked about how there's going to be something upcoming here this week or soon for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. This could be a Zelda Direct or even a preview demo event for media out there, and it could happen anytime this week or next week. Definitely check out those videos if you want to know the fine details of it, but I wanted to discuss that in addition to some other news with Tears of the Kingdom and some other content as well on the Nintendo Switch. So I do feel that a demo event getting close, like with the media and all that, to Tears of the Kingdom's release next month definitely seems likely. So nothing's really out of the ordinary there, but we have to just wait and see exactly when that's going to be. I would guess that review copies would start going out to the press probably by the end of April or very early May, because it is a very large game. So I know that with Xenoblade Chronicles 3, those definitely went out a number of weeks beforehand, before that game dropped. So I would think that you would need similar amount of time for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, because this is going to be everything Breath of the Wild was as a game, and then stack on top of that several times more. But this is definitely going to be a beefy experience. So I'm guessing that Nintendo's going to give reviewers a lot of time. So we'll see exactly what happens with the demo event, and if there is anything this upcoming week or this week for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom when it comes to a direct and all that. Now, I know a lot of you guys are good. You do not want to see any more content on this, and I completely understand that. I don't necessarily need to see more either, but I do trust that whatever Nintendo does show us, it's not going to be spoiler-ish, just because of how they've been treating this marketing with The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. They haven't been spoiling anything. They've been showing very little amount of footage. They haven't really talked about anything that could be considered a spoiler at this point, and I personally want to go in as fresh as possible to this experience. I think that with The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, there were so many new and unique things that Nintendo never discussed. Even though they had the game at E3 back in 2016, they had a few trailers, we knew exactly kind of what this game was about, at least a bit, but it didn't really set us up for what would happen. There were so many delights and surprises and so many cool things that happened just by playing the game yourself. So I think that if we can have that same thing, let's have it here. Remember, guys, it's a rumor, though. Do not take it as it's 100% happening or anything like that. Now, next up, we're going to talk about The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. We got some actual information here that's confirmed and everything. Now, over on the Famitsu's Most Wanted, which is one of the most popular Japanese gaming sites and magazines, review places, they actually have been polling gamers each week on what are they most looking forward to with the games. There's usually about 30 games on the list here, and it's a bunch of PS4, PS5, Nintendo Switch titles, but it's really cool to see that The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom has over 1,000 plus votes, and that is over 100 more votes than Final Fantasy 16, which is at the number 2 spot. So I think that it's an understatement to say that people are excited for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom in Japan, which is good, because for the longest time, The Legend of Zelda wasn't quite as popular in Japan. Sales were good, but it seemed like there was a little bit of not so great when it comes to the anticipation from the fans and everything. But I do feel that The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild changed that. It completely changed the makeup. Now, of course, Zelda is still way more popular here in the US and Western territories, but I think that the popularity of Zelda took a massive jump with The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So it's so good to see that Tears of the Kingdom, first game in a while that I can know of, that it breaks 1,000 plus votes. So people are excited and hyped for it. And I think that that kind of leads into the next thing that we're going to talk about here, and that is The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom pre-orders at multiple different retailers in Japan. Shout out to my man Pierre. I've been updating you guys on this, but I wanted to give you guys some more information on it because it's pretty impressive. So according to Pierre485 on Twitter, who does a lot of stats when it comes to pre-orders and Japanese sales and just sales worldwide as well, he has stated, based on the chart here and information, that The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom has exceeded 350 pre-orders at COMG. That's more than The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild sold in its first week at the retailers. That's Switch and Wii U combined. Now, there is a list that he also combines 34 days prior to launch with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, Monster Hunter Rise, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Splatoon 3, Animal Crossing New Horizons. So it looks like right now, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is right in between Splatoon 3 and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate when it comes to pre-order popularity in Japan, but it's rising very fast here. And it definitely seems like it's going to surpass Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and Monster Hunter Rise. Might be hard to catch Pokemon Scarlet and Violet though, just because Pokemon's massive. Now, Pierre also explains how the COMG works for those who are maybe confused on it, and he states that the COMG is a specific chain of 14 stores, all located in the Niigata prefecture. The data you see above represents the number of copies pre-ordered. 353 point means 350 people pre-ordered. Now, COMG market share is 0.1%, meaning that one pre-order generally translates to 1,000 copies across Japan. So once again, huge there. If you times that out, 350 plus that 1,000, hundreds of thousands of copies in that first week already going to be pre-ordered at this point and probably sold, and it's going to go up even as we get closer. So I'm excited to see the launch, and this is already tracking in Japan to be the largest launch ever for the Legend of Zelda franchise. So it looks like we're going to have a new record here with Tears of the Kingdom. So it's exciting on that front. Now, another thing that's exciting in terms of on record breaking, the Super Mario movie, right? We got to talk about this because there's been so much discussion about what it's doing with the movie sales records and all of that, and I wanted to talk about it. So according to Deadspin, the Super Mario Bros. Movie breaks records at 204.6 million in a 5-day opening domestic and 377.2 million worldwide. Now, that number isn't even completely accurate because it's not out in Japan when it comes to worldwide. It's not in every single market. So right now, the Super Mario Bros. Movie is absolutely killing it. It's above many other animated films, big animated films like Frozen, The Lion King, so many other movies here that it's passed up. And it's interesting because we had the whole Rotten Tomatoes situation, right? We had the whole Chris Pratt situation. We had a lot of controversies that came before and even during, and it seems like people just don't care at this point because they want to see a great video game adaptation. We see people that are more about the movie and cinema, that like pacing and story, say that, oh, it's not really good for that. But I think that you kind of have to separate things just a little bit here, because I think that's why some like the Rotten Tomatoes stuff, because what gamers want out of a great movie when it comes to what makes that is, I think, a little bit different from what people want out of a great cinematic film. It's very different, especially when you're coming from a series like Mario that doesn't really have a lot of story and doesn't really have a lot of those things. And I can see how maybe in the future they'll add a bit more to the narrative and other things. But I think that for this first film, it makes sense to really just establish and have fun and have a film that can really just get in, get out, watch, and be entertained. And I think that's what video game films, especially if you're going to do it with something that doesn't have the crazy story and all that, this is the way to get it done, because fans can go in, they can spot out the references, they can say, okay, well, that was pretty cool in this movie. They can go back and view it again without having to say, okay, I already heard this story bit. It's just kind of pure action at times. So I think they'll refine the formula. I think there's going to be a Super Mario Bros. 2 movie. I think the next one will probably have a bit better pacing with certain things, but I think that this is an incredible first start, and that's the reason why people are going a second, third, fourth time. I mean, I know some people on Twitter that have been going multiple times to see this movie. They've already got the Super Mario Bros. Movie pre-ordered when it's going to come out on Blu-ray, and people are excited. They're excited because it's a great video game adaptation movie, and it respects the roots. And I think that's the biggest thing that you need to do when you make one of these movies or adaptations when it comes to like HBO series or whatever else. I think that The Last of Us and also Mario respect the roots, where shows that have fallen off or not done so well, like the Halo show, did not respect the source material as much. There was some issues here and there, and people just didn't really vibe with it. So you got to respect the source material. You got to make sure that you got the right people, and you can't rush it. You got to make sure that you do this the right way. So congrats to Nintendo, and of course Illumination, for this big success of Super Mario Bros. Movie, and it looks like it's going to pass up 1 billion when it comes to everything. So very good there. But let's go ahead and switch gears into some great RPG sales that are going on right now on the Nintendo Switch eShop. Now you'll watch some movies, now come over here and play some games. We've got some great RPG deals. So I wanted to go over those, but to be honest, there's a lot more than just RPG games. There's a ton of different stuff here when it comes to just games in general. There's big AAA games, so make sure you guys check out the full list on Nintendo.com. All the sales are up there if you just look at the sale tab, but I wanted to go over a few different ones here. So 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim, $29.99. Atelier Ryza 1 and 2, $29.99 each. Very good games, by the way. I highly recommend those two. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night for $15.99. Switch version's a little bit crusty, so not so sure about that, but it's there for those who want the portable play. Borderlands Game of the Year Edition, Legendary Collection, and Handsome Jack Collection are $9.99 each if you want some looter, shooter, first-person action on the go. Diablo 2 is $13.19. Diablo 3 is $29.99. Once again, dungeon crawling, action RPG, good stuff, especially portable play. Those hold up very well. Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth, the complete edition, is $9.99. Fantastic game. Disgaea 6 is $29.99. Pretty good game as well. Strategy RPG. Divinity Original Sin 2, which is one of the highest rated games on the Nintendo Switch, one of the highest rated RPGs out there, $24.99. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot is $19.79. That is an RPG open-ended Dragon Ball Z game. It's pretty cool. I mean, has some issues here and there, but it's fun. It's a good port on the Nintendo Switch. Grandia HD Collection, which is fantastic. That's $19.99. Indivisible, which is a hidden gem on the Nintendo Switch, only $7.49. If you like Valkyrie Profile Old School, you're going to like Indivisible, so check that out. Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope is $29.99. Very good game. Good price on that game as well. Torchlight 2, cool dungeon crawler, kind of like Diablo. $9.99. Torchlight 3, $13.99. Valkyria Chronicles, the original, which is a phenomenal mix of like Fire Emblem and like Advance Wars. Really cool water paint art style. I highly recommend it. If you haven't played it yet, now's the time. It's $5.99. Can't go wrong with that. And if you want to follow up, they don't have 2 and 3, unfortunately, on the Switch, but they do have Valkyria Chronicles 4, which is its own contained story as well, for $8.99. Highly recommend those 2 games. They're really good, but Sega is slacking. We need Valkyria Chronicles 2 and 3 ported to the Nintendo Switch. We've got Ys 9 Monstrum Nox Digital Deluxe Edition for $46.86. You get a bunch of extra content packed in there for that. That's usually almost $90 or something like that. Also want to point out here, probably the best games on this list here, guys. We've got Persona 3, Persona 4 bundled together for $29.61. You also have Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, $14.99. Persona 4 Golden for $15.99 individually. Same thing goes for Persona 3, but the bundle is there. It's probably better if you just buy the bundle if you don't have the games yet. Persona 5 Royal is $41.99. Persona 5 Strikers is $23.99. You can probably get Persona 5 Strikers cheaper physically, though. I know that there's some places we can get that cheaper physically, but I would say Persona 5 Royal, out of this whole list, Persona 5 Royal is the best game. That game is incredible. I highly recommend it. If you have not played it yet, check it out. Persona 5 Royal is the real deal on the Nintendo Switch. It's incredibly good, and it's going to get you a lot of content. So if you're looking for value or bang for your buck, Persona 5 Royal, you can't go wrong with that. But moving on to the last topic here, guys, Super Bomberman R2. We've got a release date for this game that was announced last year. A pretty cool, I would say, I don't know if people were like excited or hyped for it, because Super Bomberman R had some issues when it launched on the Nintendo Switch and then later on other platforms, but it's back. Super Bomberman R2, and Bomberman is one of those classic franchises. I'm glad that it's around. So let's go ahead and get into the release date for this game. So Super Bomberman R2 will launch for the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC via Steam on September 13th in North America and September 14th in Europe and Japan. Konami has officially announced. Now in North America, the physical edition will be available on September 12th, and I'll have to pick up that physical edition of Super Bomberman R2 just because I've always been a long-time Bomberman fan, and the game was fun. It was just the online play was kind of busted. I don't know if they ever fixed it, because I never really went back to it after I played it, like within like the first month or two that the Switch was out, because there wasn't a lot of different games to play outside of Breath of the Wild. But it looks like it's going to improve upon what they're doing here. They have a bunch of different modes. They have a battle mode online. They have a castle mode, standard, Grand Prix, Battle 64 with online play. They have grade matches, room matches, offline battles, stage editor, story mode. Looks like they're one-upping everything when it comes down to it. So I'll probably check out Super Bomberman R, and it's coming out not too far from now, September, so not so bad with the release date as well. So what are your thoughts on everything here, guys? Let me know. If you haven't checked out my previous video where I talked about Persona 3, the remake, and even Jet Set Radio potentially getting a remake or a new release. There's some big rumors going around, so check out that video. It'll be right here on the screen for you. Check out some of my other videos where I talked about The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, what some AAA developers are saying, and even more. And also my top 10 RPGs on the Nintendo Switch. So a lot of great content. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll catch you for the next video. Peace.